Hey, everybody, welcome back to Oklahoma On Stage. We're glad that you've joined us. This is week number 2 of our Summer Sizzler mid-season marathon, whatever you want to call it, where we're doing one episode every week throughout the summer. We've got a great one for you today. Hey, if this is your first time joining us, you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, and our website is oklahomaonstage.org. There you can find all of our past episodes, a newsletter, which is in the works right now, as well as a monthly calendar of events going on all around the state. If you'd like to add something to the event calendar, an event or production or an audition, just email us at oklahomaonstage@gmail.com. Also, send us any comments or questions to that same email, or you can use the contact form that's on the website. Hey, if you would like to be a part of the podcast, you can also reach out to us and we would love to hear from you. We'd like to ask one thing of you. If you like what we're doing, please leave us a rating and a review. That helps people find us. It also helps people to know how well you think we're doing. So, without further ado, let's jump into our episode this week. We hope you enjoy it.
Oklahoma on stage, the stories come alive with drama, dance, and music. The arts always thrive. From center stage to backstage lore, Oklahoma on stage, there's always something more.
Welcome back to Oklahoma On Stage, your go-to resource for all things theater in the state of Oklahoma. Today, we are joined by the managing director of Lawton Community Theatre, Mr. Michael Kidd Harden. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So, really appreciate you joining us. We are sitting down here at Lawton Community Theatre in Michael's office, which we really appreciate his time and sharing his stuff with us. And so, we're just going to dive right into this and ask the elephant in the room question that we ask everybody else. Michael, what sparked you or pulled you or whatever it was to theater, and how did you get started?
What sparked me to theater? I always was really drawn as a kid to, it wasn't as much plays, but TV and movies. I used to, of course, I was that kid that would practice like awards winning speeches, like, oh, I just won an Oscar, and you practice the speech and record it on. But there was just something about TV and movies and when I did see stage about becoming a different character, becoming somebody else, that really just kind of stuck with me. And I didn't do a lot of theater when I was younger. You do like the Christmas play in elementary school and in junior high. I didn't really do theater as much. There in 9th grade, I took a speech class and we did plays. We didn't have an auditorium at the time, so we would film them and show them to everybody. And I played the title character Wilbur in a play called Wilbur. Where he got to say, he has a bully at school that he fights back. And so he got to say, he gave me a black eye, so I gave him 2 black eyes. And that experience is strange and crazy, but there was something about becoming the character and something about reading the script and getting in that mind and everybody kind of being on the same page towards the same end goal that just was so fascinating and fun to me. And I just had to keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
Was there any particular show or other than Wilbur, the experience that kind of inspired you?
A show that I was not in, and one that to this day still affects me. I was 18 years old. I was a senior about to graduate, and I was flipping through the channels, and I ended up on PBS, and they were presenting the Metropolitan Opera House's Magic Flute. They have an abridged version with costumes and puppets and everything by Julie Taymor, and it's really eye-catching, and it's in English. It's an hour and a half long, and I sat mesmerized watching the fun colors and the crazy things and these opera singers that were performing feats of miracles. doing the most impossible singing on stage that you'll ever find. And the story was so fascinating to me. And if I was not in love with theater before that moment, that was the moment that really made me fall in love with theater and what it could be. You do shows in schools and the set's like one wall with a door and you're like, oh, this is really cool and this is fun. And I had seen some like traveling shows as well, things that get to Oklahoma City. We would travel up there and see, but watching that on TV of the Magic Flute, it altered my course. I decided at that moment I have to do something with this. I have to. So it's really special. It's still special to me if I think about it or ever want to. I try and find it and watch it because it's just so magical.
Coming up in Oklahoma City. I believe it's Cimarron Opera, I believe. Mm-hmm. I believe they're doing it. So, yeah, just put that on your radar. Yeah. So according to the notes in my research, are that you performed in productions like Godspell and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So what were those experiences like?
So I've actually done 2 Godspells. Godspell is a show that I will always have time for. I love it so much. It's a fun, wacky, insane show to do. It's the first time I did it, I played Jesus. It was with Oklahoma City Parks and Rec. The second time was actually this past September here at Lawton Community Theatre. And I sang All Good Gifts, which is just one of my favorites. I play the recorder in the middle of it. I still do that whenever we do LCT presentations. I'll sing All Good Gifts and I'll bring my recorder with me just to have a little bit of fun. And then One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was here. My experiences with Godspell especially, it's a show that is so dependent on the group of people you have. So even both versions I've done of it were so different, and it's really fun to get with that group of people, catch the vibe, see what everybody's like, see what the group vibe is going to be like, and really build something from the ground up together, because Godspell's one of those shows. It's not super traditional, doesn't really have a set, doesn't really have a story per se. You're just getting up with your friends, doing crazy things, singing fun songs. That show to me embodies what I love about theater, which is the people. Every show is so different. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was such an interesting experience. One, because I don't do drama often. I don't play serious characters. I play like the Cat in the Hat. I play Patrick in SpongeBob. I do fun, silly, kind of crazy characters. But in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I was one of the orderlies. So I had to be very stoic. I had to be mean, which acting-wise is very unnatural because I just want to be a silly guy. But it was fun to explore this kind of different version of myself that I could, okay, what's his motivation behind being mean to this specific person? Or why is it in this scene he seems really subdued, but in another scene he's really heightened? And it's fun to explore like what is causing that behind the scenes. But ultimately, Cuckoo's Nest was such a fun experience because we were all performing some of the most heart-wrenching scenes that you can come across. Or they have the group therapy scenes where they're like confessing, some of these deep troubles that they have, and then we go backstage and we're like, la, 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 laughing and joking, and it's fun to get to explore and do that more serious acting. And then it's on top of that fun to find the joy amongst something that is very weighty, very heavy in terms of content. Yeah, those experiences were fun. And my introduction to LCT, despite the fact that I grew up in Lawton, I was born here, spent the first 18 years of my life here, I never did a show at LCT. So Godspell and then Cuckoo's Nest immediately after were my first experiences with LCT, and kind of what made me want to keep doing things with LCT. And then I landed in this position and just kind of, happened.
Yeah. That actually leads right into the next question
perfect.
that I had. That, as you said, you're from.
I read
Lawton.
all of your notes. I stole them.
I know. Sneaky. No, you are from Lawton.
I'm from Lawton.
And I know that you've done quite a bit of acting in the Oklahoma City area. One of the things that you and I have in common, we have both performed with storytellers and
storytellers
in Little Women. So, great connection that you and I have, and Storytellers, great community. Love everybody that's there. So you've performed in Oklahoma City. So what was it that drew you to this role as the managing director of LCT?
Yeah, so the position became available. I mulled over it for probably 20 minutes and then said, you know what, I think I could do this. But what made me want to be a part of, as somebody who's a part of community theater as a performer, I wanted to have a greater role in making the theater happen. To expand on that, I do have a business degree. I have a background working in a lot of retail management. And so I have a lot of skills that are pertinent to kind of the management, in quotation marks, part of the role. But what really kind of sold it to me, and this is from one of my experiences in Oklahoma City. I did SpongeBob musical at Poteet Theater, where I played Patrick, and I was working all day on a computer, and then I would get to rehearsal and I would be so tired. But there was something about, all of us were working all day. All of us are really tired, but we're so passionate about performing and about the show that we all light up and we all come to life when we're working on scenes or when we're running something. And there's that camaraderie that comes from just being exhausted together, that I want to make happen over and over and over and over again. I want to be a part of the reason that this theater has money and can keep going forward. I want to be part of the reason that people want to come and audition. I want to be a part of why people want to come and see shows or come. We have some other things that we do, like we'll do karaoke nights just to have kind of a community bonding time. I want those people, I want to be a major part of why people want to come into this building, because community theater is magic. There's something about community theater versus professional theater. This is no offense to professional theaters, because what they do is amazing and they put on high quality, really kind of put together shows. But community theaters put on really high quality shows where the people are just dog tired, but loving every second of it and no regrets. And I just wanted to be a part of that magic every single time it happens.
Yeah. I mean, community theater, it all stems back to just the love of the art. I mean, we do what we do strictly because we love theater. We're not doing it for the money. We're certainly not doing it for
not certainly not.
So,
well, and I had a period of time where I was getting back into doing theater. I took probably 13 years off after college, didn't touch a show. I didn't do anything, but, there was magic in what was happening. And I was like, maybe I should pursue this. And I started submitting self-tapes for like tours and professional shows. And my work schedule was kind of hard with Lyric in Oklahoma City, but I was trying to maybe make acting as a career happen. And then I was looking at my friends exhausted, either trying to make their acting careers happen or in acting careers, and seeing that it's like 4, 5, 6, 7 jobs and then per month, and that's how you pay your rent. And it's like, this is hard. And there's something about making performance work versus fun. Community theater makes performance fun. Right. Even though you're tired, you've been working all day, it's fun what we come together and do. And it's because the motivation is extracurricular versus saying, oh, I'm auditioning or I'm doing this show for a paycheck to pay my rent. Having that become a job versus just, a fun activity.
Yeah, no, this makes perfect sense. I mean, and I think one of the things that you said too, it was talking about community theater. And for those of us that do this, that's what it does come back to, is the community. Yeah. Without them, we're just people messing around on stage. If we don't have an audience, we don't have anything. And so the job that you have, and much like you said, getting people in these doors to see the art, and in this day and age isn't an easy task.
No, it is not.
But it's good to see that theater is starting to rise again.
Yeah.
And it's really good. We just watched we had a closing party for Death Trap in Oklahoma City, and we were watching the Tonys. And just watching that and just looking around the room and watching the reactions from the people that I was in cast with to what was going on the screen. It's like, that's what we long for.
Yeah.
We long for that interaction with the audience. And so kudos to you for that. So we talked about that. And so let's transition just a little bit now. And we're actually going to talk about the theater for just a little bit. So I know that Lawton Community Theatre has been around since 1952.
1952. That's crazy.
That's been a long time. So how has this theater evolved during those years?
So a really easy way it has evolved is in 1952 it was started as the Vagabond Playhouse. Insane name.
Yeah, that's very good.
They changed in 1963. They decided to change their name to something that was a little more inclusive. So they came up with Lawton Community Theatre. We have been in this space for over 50 years. We moved into this theater in 1971, the John Denny Playhouse. The way it's evolved is, in some ways, the participation is different. We had a lot larger of a community as we had in the past. So we're really kind of working to build that community of people back up by letting people know that we're here, that we have auditions, that we have volunteer opportunities, that we want people to participate. So I think how it's changed, and that's COVID, right? I mean, COVID really kind of
affected everybody. Yeah.
It affected everybody. Some other really fun ways that it's changed is this theater started as a theater fully in the round. And how rude of me, I didn't even show you the theater space. But we're now, I don't know the technical terms, please, nobody at me. But we're on 3 sides now of the stage. We don't, the stage is fully on the floor, and surrounded by 3 sides. So that's one way the theater has changed. I think something that's really interesting about LCT is that it really hasn't changed. It's kind of been a mainstay. It really, there's the building is almost exactly as it appeared, just with fresh coats of paint, an extra sign or 3. But the building looks very similar to how it did when they took over in 1971. The building looks very similar to how it did when, in World War II, young boys were playing basketball in this space. This space hasn't changed too much from the outside. And on the inside, really the only thing that has changed is the people. And even some of our board members and our volunteers have been working with this theater since the 70s. Nice. And so it's kind of comforting to know that there's a lot about this theater that has really remained the same for years and years. And what has evolved is the repertoire. What has evolved is the names and the faces, and they get different, and some people go away and some people come back. And, the theater has just really consistently been here how it has been for a while, it's a great comfort, and it's interesting. There's some things I would love to change. There's some things that I think we would all love to move forward, but we really remain with that consistency. And then I just change my office. So I add a bunch of things in my office, and that makes me feel like I've made some difference. But there's just so much about here that you look at photos from the 80s and the 90s, and there's just something so familiar about everything. When you look at those photos, you feel like, oh, this place has looked like this and has felt like home forever. How interesting. So
what would you say makes LCT unique as compared to other community theaters?
Ooh, I think every community theater is as unique as the people that enter the building. So in Oklahoma City, I got to do shows with Poteet Theater, got to do shows with Storyteller Arts, got to do a show with Rose State College, which was such an interesting experience, and then a show with Oklahoma City Parks and Rec. And I think what is so fascinating is that every theater is essentially affected by the people that run it. And not to say that, because all of the theaters were great, kind, welcoming spaces, but you go and do a show at Poteet Theater and they are cranking those shows out. Everything is so prescribed every day. You know exactly what's going on, and that's because they've been operating for a long time. They are just really on top of their things. And then Rose State College, where it's like college students, right? Everybody is like in class during the day, and it was some students and then some from the outside community, and is essentially part of the college. So there's not really as much of a culture as with that community theater. It's really dependent on the people that came in. A lot were students. I felt old. But yeah, so with LCT, Lawton being kind of a smaller community, we're a little bit more, we're farther away from the center of the Oklahoma universe. People here are a lot more humble. People here are a lot more, I don't want to say more kind, because everybody in Oklahoma is, well, not everybody, but there's just a way of existence that people in Lawton have that's a little bit more on the rural end of the perspective. And I think what that brings to LCT versus a lot of my experiences is the desire to be as helpful as possible. So like we did a couple weeks ago, we had a paint day for our Lightning Thief Percy Jackson set. And a lot of people from the show came in. We had a lot of people from our board, from the community. We had random people come in that say we saw that this was happening and wanted to be helpful.
Impressive.
And so it really, I think Lawton Community Theater, what makes us a little bit more unique, especially versus other theaters, is just the like small town mindset of like, what do you need? And everybody is like ready to help. This building, God bless it, floods. It's really the downside of it. Yeah. And that was in April, May, maybe one of those two, we had a strong storm. Dumped about 5 inches in an hour. The creek back here backed up, and we had about a foot plus of water inside the building.
Oh my.
It was rough. It was really rough. And that next day I was up here. I got about 150 gallons of water out of my office. Our technical director, bless him, truly was up here. He got the majority of the water out of the building. He lives nearby, which he regrets. But the day after I cleared out 150 gallons from my office, we had 24 people show up to help us get the rest of the water out, clean up everything, get us back to working order. And that's really, when I think of Lawton Community Theater, I think of how many people are ready and willing to come up and help at a moment's notice.
Wow. So it truly is a community theater.
At Lawton Community Theatre, community is our middle name.
You should be on the radio.
Which is true.
Yeah.
We are an organization mostly of volunteers. I just happen to be one of the non-volunteers, but we are a primarily volunteer organization, and we take such pride in that. And our volunteers really show up.
That is really, really cool. That's a great story right there in and of itself, just to hear that. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there listening that would love to have a community like that around their theater.
I felt there was nothing more humbling and gratifying than to have more and more people come up that day and to be like, I don't really have anything for you to do right now because we have this happening. And so they walk around and they try and find something to do.
Wow.
It truly, I like cried a couple times. It was a really stressful weekend just with the flooding and, some of the things that come with flooding. But the response with our volunteers was, it made me cry. It made me cry a few times. I had to leave.
Wow.
I had to come into my office and shut the door and hope that nobody could hear.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good problem to have.
That's a great
amazing.
problem to have.
So speaking of that, how does LCT balance community engagement with professional level productions?
That is a great question. I think the way we balance it is we leave the really high quality productions to I mentioned our phenomenal technical director, Tom Moon, has been working professionally in the technical side of theater for 40 years. Very knowledgeable, very intelligent, great eye. And so balancing the production's looking good, I just let him do that. When it comes to the actual production, we have a list of really high quality directors that know what they're doing. And then we have, stage managers that are volunteers, all of our lighting operators, and everybody is all volunteers. But how we keep the productions as high quality as we can is I just keep my hands out of it. I get highly qualified, amazing people to focus on getting all of that together. Tom makes an amazing set, has great ideas, knows lights, knows everything in the technical side like the back of his hand. And then that frees me up to essentially work on community engagement, to work on being engaged, not just with our primary grant sponsors, but with the community, the Lawton community as a whole. Right now we're in playbill season. So I'm trying to get ads for playbill, and it's really about reaching out to the businesses. We sent over 500 letters to local businesses, just letting them know, hey, we're here. This is our audience size. You can reach this many people. Come and get an ad. Or this, not to date the podcast when we're recording, but this Saturday, Lawton has its Pride event. So Lawton Drag Entertainment puts on a Pride Day. And we're going and we're going to have a table. I'm speaking for a little bit. And then we're doing a concert, a Broadway backwards, where we're all presenting songs that are traditionally sung by the opposite gender. And so really the way we balance it is I let Tom and directors and all of them just do what they can, be here as a resource in case they need it, which allows me to work on the business side, to work on building community, getting volunteers in the door as well. Like I mentioned earlier, we do the karaoke nights, just having as many people come into this door for the first time so they know we exist and then they feel comfortable here. For any reason, if it's a show or if they want to come audition, anything like that. So I just keep my hands out of it and let the professionals do what they do best.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I always say that, the sign of a great leader is not that they know or do a lot, but they surround themselves by quality people.
There is a lot I don't know. In fact, there is when it comes to business, I know that. I studied it. I spent 2.5 years of my life, working on that, and I've spent 10 years working in retail, and there's so much I know about that. But I don't know as much about running a theater. I don't know what to think about. So I even have, some of those volunteers I was talking about that have been around for years and years. I value what they have to say. I'll ask them questions and they'll say, oh, well, you can, it's up to you and how you want. And I'm like, I would like for your opinion on this because I think it's really important. Even if if I don't decide what you are saying, at least I have the full picture. And I think that it's a mark of leadership skills to surround yourself with those people, but also to not be afraid to ask questions that could possibly be really dumb, and that's okay. And
I learned a long time ago that the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
It's the one you don't ask. And
so, yeah.
I have asked my fair share of stupid questions. I can't think of any right now, but I don't challenge me. I'll ask a stupid question.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears just a little bit, let's talk about productions.
Yes.
What is LCT currently working on?
So right now we are working on The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical. We have an amazing, talented cast of, I think it's like 3 or 4 adults and then 14 kids under the age of 18. Ages 13 to 18 doing this show. Our Percy Jackson is 13. That's insane to me. He's so talented. But that's what we're working on. Not to date the podcast and when we're doing this again, but June 20th through the 22nd and 26th through the 29th are our performances for The Lightning Thief.
That is pretty impressive. I just saw the promotional video on Facebook and heard a little bit of that. I was like, and now knowing that he's 13, I was like,
13.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
We had an outreach that we did in Medicine Park at a restaurant called The Healthy Hippie. But they have this great outdoor space, so we did a little outreach concert. And I invited him to come just as a bit of a promo for the show coming up. Never having heard him, just saying, this is who they cast as Percy, so obviously he's doing something right. And he got up there and sang, and I just was like, just jaw on the floor, shocked. He sounds so good. And at 13, I could not even have come close. There's no way. But he blew me away, so much so that I forgot to go back up on the stage after to announce the next person. And so I was late. I was like, oh, hi, everyone. So sorry. Wasn't that great?
So aside from this phenomenal 13-year-old leading the cast, what can audiences expect from this show?
They can expect an action-packed adventure. So one thing about The Lightning Thief as a show is there is so much that happens. You go from the characters discovering who they are, like who they're descended from. No spoilers. I don't think that they're demigods. I think we know at this point. All the way
I think it's been around a while, long enough.
It's been long enough.
Spoiler
alert.
Yeah.
All the way through the second act is their journey cross country, and it is just bam, 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 bam. You can expect an action-packed, absolute adventure. Tons of fun, tons of laughs. Maybe cry. You might cry a little bit. But just an action-packed adventure.
Very nice, very nice. So I saw that you just recently announced your 2025-26 season. So what goes into the selection process of here at LCT?
I wish I could speak from experience, but I inherited the season. When I came in, we actually announced the season for the first time on my very first day, which was a very, not scary at all. What I know is we have, as part of our board of directors. Thank you. Lord have mercy. Our board of directors, they have a committee called the Play Selection Committee. They will get together. They'll request reader copies of some shows. People will throw out ideas of like, hey, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. And they'll compile a list of all the scripts that people have mentioned, and they'll read through the scripts and they'll say, we like this, we don't like this, we're not sure about this, let's, maybe not this year. And then they try to pick 4 shows that have some theme that brings them together, or something that makes them cohesive in a way. And there's compromises here and there. From one that I've heard anecdotally, our season includes Sweeney Todd, which was a bit of a hard sell. It's definitely a little more adult material. And so the compromise was, we do Oliver, very family friendly show, as our season closer, and then that way we feel okay with doing a show that maybe the kiddos can't come and see, because they'll have a really great show at the end of the year that they can come and participate in. So there's a lot of debate, a lot of reading the shows and figuring out those themes and making sure that it fits with our mission and with us.
So I based on that, you do a lot of musicals, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Primarily musicals.
Primarily,
yeah.
Okay. So is that dependent on the amount of the people that you have, or is that just an intentional thing? We want to focus on musicals.
That's such a good question, and I don't really know so much. It's just, even our theater used to do 6-season shows. And even back then it was, maybe half musicals, half play. When it was 5 shows, it would be 3 musicals, 2 plays. So I don't really know. I think a musical, and this is my speculation, I think a musical is a little more drawing. I think that there's plays have a sense of realism to them that sometimes people want to see a spectacle. And so I think having more musicals welcomes a little bit more, or invites a little bit more of a crowd to come in. But, I say that, and our plays have been very successful in the past. Even this past season, doing Godspell and Cuckoo's Nest, our audiences were almost exactly the same for both. So it could be just like a preference to musicals to select, but we've been doing, at least since COVID, 3 musicals, 1 play.
Okay. So you hinted a little bit about some of the couple of the shows that were in the season. So what are some other exciting things that people can expect from the new season?
Yes. So we are starting our season in September with Chicago. I think that in and of itself is so exciting, as somebody who, I was in high school when the movie came out. It's another really pivotal theater moment for me, of watching the movie Chicago. It just was so pivotal. So to get to do that story here, Lawton Community Theatre doing Chicago, that's so exciting, and not something that I really would have expected. After that, we are doing the play Noises Off. I know.
I love that show.
I don't know as much about Noises Off, at least before I came into this role. What I do remember is some of my friends that I did Cuckoo's Nest with saying oh, I hope we do Noises Off. There was a rumor that we were doing Noises Off. I really hope we're doing that. And I was like, oh, so people like this show. But having read into it and learned more, it's this hilarious and a bit of a spectacle. I mean, the set is comprehensive. Yes. Our lovely poor technical director has to build a set that can spin.
Oh, he'll love it. He'll love it. Yeah.
It's truly, I think, gonna be the kind of show that people are excited while they're watching, because it's going to be really cool and hilarious.
It is
and I think
it's a gut buster
for the actors. Is rewarding to play actors doing the thing that they're doing, because it's about putting a show on and
to play within a play. Yeah,
and so I think that's a really exciting moment where the audience will get to kind of see a little bit more, because the actors are going to be even more supercharged. And then that's in November. In February, we're presenting Sweeney Todd, another very exciting, truly, I can't believe we're doing Sweeney Todd in Lawton, Oklahoma. But I'm excited for people to get to experience this musical for the first time. it's one of my favorite shows. So I cannot wait for that. And then we're wrapping it all up in June of 2026 with Oliver, a standard, a show that people love and people want to see, and is just one of those just sweet masterpieces of theater. Something that's kind of fun, I think, about our season is they have all been made into film adaptations. 2 of them have won Oscars for Best Picture. The other one was nominated. And then there's also Noises Off, which was a movie, unfortunately not nominated for anything. But I think it's kind of cool that even if they inadvertently did it, they created a really good, cohesive, like, let's go to the movies kind of a season.
And you could probably pump that up as in marketing. So
exactly.
That's good. So where do you see LCT heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, hopefully I'm still here. Hopefully they haven't ousted me. They haven't chased me out of here. What I would love is Lawton Community Theatre used to have a really strong kids program. And there were kids that would do shows here at a young age and grew up in this theater and have come back and have done shows, or they've worked behind the scenes, or they come back and do some things with us, whether it's our outreach concerts or anything like that. I would love to have similar to Poteet Theater does, I would love to have a full, like, children's academy, children's theater, where kids can come after school. They can take theater classes, they can take acting classes, they can take dance classes, tech classes, tech theater. Yeah, that's part of, and our tech director is really like, I want to teach classes on how to use a soundboard, how to use a light board, how to do a spotlight. I think that having those classes that kids can take right after school, and then offering a full comprehensive children's theater where they get to do multiple shows a year. I mean, we have one show a year that the kids can participate in, but I want them to have 3 or 4 opportunities for performance throughout the year, so that they do more. So it's, my notion of Lawton Community Theater is very growth minded. I want this theater to be as large as it possibly can. I want to have those classes that people can take in the afternoons or in the evenings. But some of the struggles with that are space. And you see our theater, it's quite small. We don't really have additional space outside of our theater space. Then we have the shop, and then we have the costume shop, and then the front offices. So really that's the big challenge with that. But I would love to have just a full children's program and everything. And in addition to that, a second season, shows that we do off season that are not part of our, 4 or 5 shows that we'll do main stage. That would be some of these subject matter that's a little more edgy, something that's a little bit more contemporary, and offer performances that are great for everybody. We have our standard season, which is really great for our season subscriber crowd, and has a lot of good draws for people to come in. But that base of audience is getting older and older. And so it's really about, how do we engage young people? How do we get young people to get really excited about theater? And when I say young people, I'm people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. How do we get them to engage with what we're doing? And so I would love to have a second season where we do some of those shows, Avenue Q, things that are maybe not family friendly, but would get people in their 20s to 40s to come out and see theater. And then that way they get a little bit more ingrained in what we do, and they'll come and see some of our main stage shows. But really, what I see Lawton Community Theater as in 10 years is a tiny empire. I want to have, divisions for each thing. I want to have a staff member that runs each division of things. and then I want to be sitting at the top, and I want to be doing nothing all day. I want to do nothing all day. I want to check in with people, and that's all I do.
I think
That's a bit of a joke, but
I think it's kind of a dream for all of us. Yeah.
But I just have such huge goals for us, and I know that we can do it. And I know, and our volunteers, the volunteers we have are gung ho. They are ready. They want to do this, and this. And so really it's about establishing, nowadays we're doing the kind of foundational work of working with kids a little bit more, and the next step is to start offering classes. But really before we can get there, we need the space for it. So figuring out how do we get that space. That's kind of the next step challenge.
Good. So part of that is engaging with the community. We talked a little bit about that. So how do you plan to expand the reach and engagement of the theater?
So the first is marketing. We get a pretty comprehensive marketing budget from the city of Lawton, the hotel motel tax fund that the city gets. We receive, and this is all public knowledge, for this current year, we received $20,000 for marketing. For next fiscal year, we received $25,000 is how much we're going to get. So we were not super prudent with our advertising budget for the last few years. But this year, especially with the budget that we've been given, I want to get out and hit, billboards and have ads on TV running all the time, not just when we have shows. I want to offer some of these events like karaoke that bring in a crowd that's a little bit different. Not necessarily the people that are sitting at theaters watching shows. That sounded so weird. Not sitting at theaters watching shows. They're not normally the person that's going to seek out a theater experience, but they come in here for karaoke, which is something that they do usually in bars. And they come for karaoke and they're like, oh, this place is fun. Oh, you're doing Chicago? That's so cool. So the first step is making people know that we're here, really getting the message out. When we did auditions for The Lightning Thief, we had parents come in bringing their kids to audition that were like, I never knew this place existed. I've lived in Lawton my whole life. Are you kidding? Right. So we are very strategically marketing in a way that brings awareness to our existence. And that really is that first step that we're taking to engage in the community. And then the other part of that is giving them events that are worthy of their time and their attention. So coming up for, I love karaoke. I'm a huge karaoke, as you can tell. But there are people that go to karaoke that could not care less about theater, but they'll come in here for a karaoke, or they'll come in for maybe like an improv night or like an open mic night, things like that. So we're working so diligently to market strategically so that people know we exist. And then that next step can come of, we have this season, or maybe we do the off season, or maybe we start doing some classes for the kids, and that's that next step. So really right now we're just trying to be as strategic with marketing ourselves as possible. Bless you.
Thank you.
And utilizing social media kind of as much as we possibly can. We're trying to reach younger people, which have a tendency to be more online. And so we still, when we do marketing, we'll still hit news stations. We'll still hit the newspaper. But young people engage online. So having things like our TikTok page, which hasn't been super active, but we're wanting to get that back and active, and being really active on Facebook and Instagram and engaging people where they are.
And a podcast.
Getting on a podcast like Oklahoma on Stage. So that people are aware that we exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why we
truly
exist. So, our whole purpose in doing this was to encourage, support, and promote theater across the state. And so, whatever we can do to help theaters get the word out, and that also kind of helps us in turn, because as you share the podcast with other people, hey, y'all need to listen to this. It promotes us, which promotes other people, and so yeah, it's kind of a continuous circle. So
yeah, and bless you for that. Truly,
I love it. So, if you could bring any dream production to LCT, what would it be and why?
Dream production. My dream, the one that people are probably tired of me talking about, but I won't stop. I want us to do the SpongeBob musical. And the reason I want is it was a very special experience for me to do it. It's also just nostalgia of SpongeBob as an intellectual property. It's something that brings people in. People want to see the SpongeBob musical. But also it's just a very well-written musical. The music is very high quality. I remember doing the show, and you start out and you're like, oh, it's a SpongeBob. It's going to be a fun poppy. The music is so well written. It's all songs from different artists that wrote these songs, but they all go together so well, and the story is built so well, and it has a bit of that spectacle that a lot of people love to come and see. So for me, I would love to do SpongeBob, and I hope that you see it in our 74th season. Okay. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
There's a pitch already.
I would, I've talked to people on the board about it, and they're so sick of me talking about the SpongeBob musical, but I'm not going to stop.
Okay.
I would also love, another kind of dream musical for me would be Ragtime. But something with Ragtime and something that we struggle with is diversity of talent. Mm-hmm. Ragtime requires, a lot of African-American performers, and we just don't have the base yet. So that's part of our marketing is really getting our name out there, but being really intentional about hitting some of these communities of color and letting them know that we're here, that we want their support, that we want them to come and do shows, that Absolutely. We want them to audition and be a part of what we are, because we reflect the community that's around us.
Absolutely.
And then we have the opportunity to do shows like Ragtime, Color Purple. There was one in my head and it just left.
And many of the modern roles and stuff can be changed and adapted. I've seen a lot of theaters adapting roles and putting people that weren't originally cast that way into those roles. And so, they're changing genders, they're changing, race and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's great. Yeah. Because it kind of gives a new take on the story mm-hmm. and seeing things from a different perspective. And so I
got to do Company with Rose State. That's the show I did with Rose State Theater. And we did Company, but we did the rewrite from 2018 where Bobby is a woman.
Okay.
And the show, I think the way the show opens up and becomes something new, with a woman at the head of the show rather than a man. It's also a lot less sexist because the original is a bit rough, but it's so fascinating to see how the story transforms whenever you're all interacting with Bobby the woman rather than Bobby the man.
Sure.
It's so interesting.
When you think about, one of the funniest shows out there, it was The Odd Couple. When they came out with the female version, it was just as funny as the male version. So it can be great.
Anybody in that,
So it's great. Okay, so if you could have these, we're going to transition into our curveball questions now.
I love a curveball.
So put your thinking cap on. If you could cast any celebrity in an LCD production, who would you pick and for what role?
Oh, I would. You know what? There is this amazing artist who just Tony nominated, Jennifer Samard.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with her because she's not just a really good singer, but she's a phenomenal character actor. I would love Jennifer Samard to play Mrs. Lovett in our Sweeney Todd. Mic drop.
There you
that
go.
Would be that would be
phenomenal.
Okay.
So good.
Start making your phone calls.
Yeah.
And
Beep, 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 boop, boop.
you only got, what, 6 months?
Yeah, I got
So, it should be
I wonder if she'll do it for free.
Yeah, well, maybe. So what's the funniest and most unexpected thing that has ever happened during a rehearsal that you've been in?
I talk about SpongeBob a lot. SpongeBob, the girl that I played opposite, I was Patrick, she was SpongeBob. We had 2 different casts. So we did the first weekend of the show, and then we were backstage for the second weekend, but we were doing little backstage tasks, like there's boulders coming down the mountain. So she's out throwing boulders and I'm on the other side picking boulders as they come. I think one of the funniest things that happened, part of that rehearsal and of the boulders coming down the mountain, is we had a huge umbrella like you would see on a table, painted brown to look like a boulder. And Jules is her name, Jules Strawn, phenomenal actor, phenomenal person. She was SpongeBob. We're in behind, and she has a cardboard cutout of a character that's about to get flattened by a boulder. And one time in rehearsal, I was not looking where we were going and just ran straight into the guy playing Old Man Jenkins, full splatting him. I mean, he didn't fall over. He was completely fine. But I just ran straight into him, and he was supposed to get in behind with us, and then we replaced it with the cardboard. But I just ran into him, and I don't know if the cardboard got set, but we definitely did have to do it again. Michael, you cannot hit the actors. Yeah. Okay, noted.
We do have safety concerns.
I'm so sorry. I thought we were hitting him. He gets flattened by the boulder. I thought we were doing it on purpose.
We were really flattening him. So, okay, if you weren't involved with theater, what career would you be involved with?
Oh gosh, if I could do absolutely anything in the world, I would love to be a voiceover actor. That's kind of, I've always done crazy voices my whole life. I think that would be a super fun thing to do. But I'm going to be like, we're good at what we're good at, right? I'm unfortunately really good at leading people. It's in managing tasks and projects. It's just something that comes really naturally to me. So I'd probably be like a project manager or something, do something like that where I'd be leading people. Yeah. I find a lot of joy in getting to know people and bringing out the best in them that I possibly can. So I think that I would find whatever job I could do that, and do it. But I get to do that, and I'm in the arts. It's
crazy.
Crazy. It's amazing.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this throughout the podcast. So what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I have so many. The one karaoke song that I sing karaoke a lot at a bar called Foo Bar. Shout out Foo Bar. Amazing. Foo Bar Saloon, here in Lawton. And I will actually have the host ask me to sing Haven't Met You Yet by Michael Bublé if I don't have it on my list. Or they'll be like, oh, can you sing that? So I would say that's probably my go-to. I also love to sing I'm Just Ken from the Barbie movie, but that's not as much of a crowd pleaser.
Right.
Red Wine Supernova by Chappell Roan is another song that I'll sing pretty frequently. Sorry.
Sure. No. Okay, so that's all the questions that I have. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with LCT, how do they do that?
Yes, the main way to keep in touch with us is going to be through our Facebook page, Lawton Community Theatre. If you ever want to get in touch with me directly, you're absolutely welcome to. You can email me at director@lctok.com or call our offices at 580-355-1600. And if you're local to the Lawton area and you are bored between the hours of 11 and 5, Monday through Friday, you just come and plop yourself in my office fully open office. I love it when people come and visit, when people call with questions or even with like tips or anything like that, or ideas. I love it. And I want to get as many people involved as possible.
Very nice. Okay, so Lightning Thief coming up.
The Lightning Thief coming up.
Dates?
June 20th through the 22nd and the 26th through the 29th.
And how do people get tickets?
You can get tickets through our website. Just click Get Tickets, and it'll take you over to eTix, which is our online site. Or you can always call the box office if you want to do the purchase over the phone. You can actually purchase tickets with us as well.
Okay, we'll have all of those addresses in the show notes, so if you're interested, just look there and you'll find all that information. Michael, we appreciate your time and being a part of the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hey, for everybody else listening at home, thank you for giving us your time and checking us out. Be sure and check with us again. Find us on Facebook. Give us a like and a review on the podcast. And more than anything else, continue to support the arts.
Woo!
Oklahoma on stage, the spotlight